Happy Thursday, ladies. All right, I'm going to get stuck straight in. Today, we're talking about rest and recovery, and we're going to go over its importance. So I think a lot of the time, people sort of don't understand or they underestimate the importance of rest and recovery when it comes to their workouts. And people put a lot of emphasis on training hard and training often. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. This is the slide, what we will cover. So we're going to cover what is rest and why it's important, how you can tell you're under-recovered. So I prefer the term under-recovered to overtrained. I don't know if I believe in overtrained or just more that you're under-recovered. And we're going to talk about how to do it. So these slides are actually from a call I did about a year ago, and I asked everyone to send me a question. And so these were some of the questions that they sent through, and I've left them on because they were really good questions, basically. So those are the questions we're going to go through. So what is rest? Why is it important? And how can I tell that I need it? So rest is where the adaptation occurs. So we go to the gym, we provide the stimulus by doing the things. And then when we rest, that is actually when we get the gains from the stimulus. Okay, it's not in the gym. It's actually the nutrition and the rest and the recovery afterwards. That is where we get the adaptation. Now, rest doesn't mean that you get to lie down for 24 hours. Absolutely not. I don't believe in absolute rest like that, excluding sickness, obviously, and illness. Rest is basically doing any light activity. So we call it active rest. I generally recommend light walks, mobility, some surfing, anything that's going to get your blood flowing that you enjoy, maybe is outdoors to get a bit of sun as well, with sunscreen, obviously. Yeah, so that's sort of some of the things that I recommend. You might be under-recovered if you have these signs and symptoms. So here's a list of things that if you are sort of ticking off a few of these, then it might be time to look at your recovery, sort of the things that you're doing to recover. So you're tired all the time, you're sore all the time, you have niggling injuries that just won't go away, you're irritable, you have a lack of motivation, you have a poor performance in the gym, you're not getting stronger each week. In fact, you might even be feeling weaker week on week. Now with that one, obviously it's a little nuanced. It's not like it's not super measurable that you get exactly stronger every single week. There's ups and downs, but if you zoom out, the general progress is up. You toss and turn at night, or you have a higher resting heart rate than normal. So these are all some pretty clear indications that you are not rested. Resting without guilt. So this was one of the questions one of the girls had, and like how to do it without guilt. Basically, you have to remember that rest is part of it. There's three pieces to the pie when it comes to progress and goals and body composition and strength and skills and making progress across all of those. 1/3 is the stimulus. So that's the gym, right? That's going to the gym and doing the work. 1/3 is our nutrition. So that's fueling our muscles and tendons and ligaments and skeletal system and everything to get stronger and bigger and whatever it is that we're trying to achieve. And the third piece is the rest. So it is literally an equal component, equal to the other parts, equal to the training. So rest is exactly as important as the stimulus. So if you wouldn't feel guilty going to train, you shouldn't feel guilty having a rest. It's considered part of any balanced training program and needs to be taken seriously for longevity to maintain motivation and avoid risk of injury. So if you speak to any high-level athlete, they take their recovery very, very seriously. They take it just as seriously as their training, maybe even more so. They take their nutrition very seriously. So something to consider if you are one of these people that sort of thinks that resting is weak or resting is just being lazy, then it's absolutely not. So nutrition for recovery, so that's another third of the pie. We need carbs, proteins, and fats, and here is why. So we need carbs because they replenish the muscle glycogen stores. We need protein because it helps repair and build your muscles. Some of the studies that I read recommend 20 grams every 3 hours for like 12 hours. So that's what they recommend for the greatest absorption of protein. But to be honest, just get it in. I wouldn't worry about that. If you already struggle to get protein in, just focus on getting it in. There's a little thing here for you as well. So 2 grams per kilo of body weight is what I say to aim for. Unless you know your fat-free mass, then we can go off that one. But 2 grams per kilo body weight is much easier. Therefore, if you weigh 50 kilos, you want to eat 100 kilos of protein. If you weigh 100 kilos, you want to eat 200 kilos of protein, right? Really simple. Keeping in mind that 100 grams of protein does not equal 100 grams of steak. So you have to go back to one of the other calls on nutrition to look at that one, but I can help you if you want to see that. You need fat, and that helps restore homeostasis to our CNS, and our CNS is important because that is the thing that indicates when we're stressed, basically. So we want to restore homeostasis to that. It also does a bunch of other wonderful things. We want to maintain a calorie intake that's congruent with your goals. So if you're after fat loss, you want to be in a slight deficit. If you're after muscle growth, you want to be in a slight surplus. If you're after muscle growth and fat loss at the same time, then you need to be in maintenance with a big focus on your protein intake. The benefits of foam rolling and optimizing recovery. This is an interesting one. There is no benefit, zero benefit at all. However, of course, there's always a however. It might help you feel better. It might help increase your blood flow. And if that's the case, it might help increase your parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest system, which is the thing that's going to boost your recovery. So more power to you. There is no disadvantage if it makes you feel better. It's not going to harm you, but there are just no advantages to it, especially at using it as a preparation for strength training. And I mean, we used to do it in the gym years ago. We used to foam roll before every session, and we have since become more educated. And now you don't need it. In general, it's not bad. So I've got down the bottom here. I think this is really important to know. Having it as an established habit is good. So if it's the thing that gets you to the gym and you start foam rolling and you have to do your foam rolling first, continue to do it, because that could be the one thing that's helping you establish that routine and training and getting it into your habits. So there's definitely nothing wrong with it. It's kind of similar to putting lemon in your water every morning, right? There's no benefit to putting a squeeze of lemon in your water, but if it's a thing that makes you drink more water in the morning and drink water before your coffee, then it's good. You know what I mean? Deload weeks and active versus total rest. So deload weeks are basically just when we do less weights or less reps or both, or less sets, just less basically. They're really good for recovery because they provide blood flow to the muscles, but we don't place them under additional stress, which is what we're usually trying to do. So it gives them a break. The more experienced you get, the harder you train. So the more deload weeks you need generally. Deload weeks are a really good time to hone in on technique. So for the girls that really struggle with the deloads, I always recommend, look, let's just nail your technique, Everyone's technique can always be better, like my own included. And so it's a really good time to decrease the weight and really focus on your form. As I mentioned before, I don't believe in total rest ever, excluding illness. I think there's always something that you can do and just to get your blood moving and not stay stagnant. So some examples of active rest, I've got walking, bike riding, light jogs, but only if you're already a runner. If you don't run often, then a run is not going to be restful to you. Surfing, some light stretching, and basically any activity that stimulates blood flow without an excess stress. So anything that you enjoy or you like doing, and like I said before, getting outdoors is bonus points for that. Having setbacks with time off. This is another thing that people get very, very concerned about. Less than 4 weeks off training has limited effects on strength loss. So this is all from studies, by the way. I don't just make this up. Some size may be lost within that time, but the strength remains relatively the same. So that's good news, right? If anyone's going on holidays and they're not crazy like me and likes training while they're on holidays, then this is good news, unless you're lucky enough to have longer than 4-week holidays, I suppose. Cardiovascular fitness is lost much more quickly. So less than 2 weeks for that to decline. And even more, the more trained you are. So you can imagine if you are like the elite of the elite and you stop training, you've got a long way to come down. But the good thing is generally your gains will come back more quickly the second time round due to neuromuscular development. And obviously, if you're a cardio endurance athlete or something, you just know how to train. So it's going to come back quite quickly, and everything, all of your structures are probably in pretty good shape. So that's a good one for people to remember. I know that a lot of the time, especially people who struggle to rest, really struggle to take time off because they think they're going to go backwards. I mean, I got pneumonia last year in both my lungs, and I was the sickest I've ever been in my life. And of course I went backwards a little bit, but like not much. Like my strength pretty much stayed the same. It was obviously my cardio fitness didn't. But yeah, so it's not too concerning. The fastest way to recover and finding time to rest. There is no fast way to recover. Basically, your body will take as long as it needs, and some people may recover more quickly than others, depending on so many factors. You can aid it by prioritizing your sleep, so 7 to 9 hours every night, prioritizing protein in a well-balanced meal for all of your meals, active recovery that gets the blood flowing and helps remove waste and things like that. And this is the thing that I said before, 20 grams of whey protein every 3 hours for 12 hours after resistance training has the greatest anabolic effect. Anabolic effect means grow. So to grow and to build, essentially. So if you're looking to build muscle, which most of us are, if you want to become toned or strong, then you're looking to add muscle. It doesn't mean that it's big muscle, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have bigger muscles than I do. So 20 grams of whey protein every 3 hours for 12 hours after training. Like I said before, if that just seems so overwhelming, just focus on eating protein every day. That's all you need to worry about. And saying here, depending on your time available to train, you may need to forego training for rest. So this is going to come down to a little bit of autonomy, right? If training stimulus is not achieved, then prioritize training over rest. So if you're very tired, very sore, very niggly injuries, very irritable, and you don't have long to train today, probably don't. Probably just take a rest day. That's probably what you need more. However, if you don't have long to train, but you're fine, then I would probably try to get a quick session in. Having a look at the list of signs and symptoms of being under recovered is a really good place to start. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I tried to keep it brief, and I would love to hear any questions that you've got. So anything that you've noticed in your own training, or anything that you particularly love doing to help your rest and recovery. I'm sure the other girls would love to hear it too. Thank you.